Thank you all for being here. Ruth, it is tempting to look at that really great bit of overacting by the great Rod Steiger and think this is silly. Donald Trump is trolling. But there's been a fair amount of alarm. I've seen a lot of even conservative sort of voices really taken aback by Donald Trump posting this quote that someone must have given him. I can't imagine Donald Trump knows any quotes from Napoleon Bonaparte himself. But what do you make of him posting that over the weekend?
Well, first of all, from Francisco Franco to Mussolini, who even wrote a play about Napoleon, to Berlusconi, to Pinochet, many strongmen have an obsession with Napoleon. And they forget that he ended up on a tiny island, kind of, away from everybody after everything crashed and burned. What they remember is the glory. But this is a very dangerous quote, because the old fiction of the strongman is the savior of the nation, and that justifies anything that he might need to do, regardless of how lawful or lawless it is. That's what he's selling to Americans at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, and Rev, Donald Trump, you are the one who knows him. I am not. But just having written a book about him, I mean, he is very suggestible. And it is clear that someone is telling him, William McKinley is the president you should pattern yourself after, an empire-building president, what a failed presidency. That Napoleon Bonaparte, here's a quote, you should take that in. And he's sort of building himself into sort of a Viktor Orban figure, and he's around people like J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who have this kind of, we need to build a technocracy and get rid of diversity and have this kind of new South Africa. Like, he's being fed this, right? I mean, these aren't things that come from Donald Trump's own learning. He's not like somebody who studied history, is he?
Well, I think that clearly Donald Trump has not studied Napoleon. He's probably studied Rod Steiger, the actor, better, because I think that he is acting out something that he really is not prepared to deal with. He's not saving a nation. He's trying to reshape and redo a nation that goes back to pre-1950 America, with no diversity, no rights for women, for blacks, for people of color, for immigrants, for anybody. And I think the danger of this is that we have an entertainer in the White House that can play scripts better than he can deal with constitutional law. And we're in the middle of this. And I think that it is a very serious danger to the Republic of the United States.
I agree. I think many people agree. And Mary, the courts, in a sense, helped build this. John Roberts essentially handed Donald Trump monarchical style powers in the Trump versus United States case. He and his Supreme Court majority essentially argued that Donald Trump trumps Article 3 of the 14th Amendment. It is inoperative when it comes to Donald Trump, right? So they've made a lot of arguments in favor of his autonomy as a sort of almost American king. They're now preparing to hear this case. This is this Supreme Court appeal. So the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to approve their firing of the head of the Office of the Special Counsel, which is dedicated to protecting whistleblowers. I think that seems key. Andrew Johnson got impeached for firing the Secretary of War. Do you anticipate that the Supreme Court is going to continue down this road of adding to Trump's powers? How confident are you that they will finally put a brake on him?
Well, I think there's a couple of different kinds of powers that may get in front of the Supreme Court this term. This first case, if the Supreme Court takes this up, and right now it's there in this emergency posture, and there are various technical barriers to them taking review of it at this point. But this is one where actually I would say the government has a stronger argument than they will in some of the other abuses of power that we've seen in other executive actions taken over these last 4 weeks. This is a case of, firing a single a single head of an agency, not a multi-member commission, but a single head of an agency. And that is something that the Supreme Court has really said is within the executive powers in the context of other agencies like the CFPB, for example, and they've done that recently. Yeah. Now, it's different here, Joy, because we're talking not about a single head of an agency that regulates or investigates or prosecutes private behavior. We're talking about an internal agency that's by its very nature designed to, handle complaints of abuse of federal employees by federal agencies. So it's a very different, and it's a very different kind of agency, and it's one that when the court did hold in the Seila Law case, that the president did have the power to fire the head of the CFPB. They did hold out the Office of Special Counsel as something different. So we'll see what they do there. But there are a number of other areas where the current president is taking action that violates statutes that were passed by both houses of Congress, and he has no authority to do that, even under the Supreme Court's capacious ruling this summer. There are times when he's violating the Constitution, separation of powers, by doing things that really only Congress has the power to do, such as withholding funding that Congress has specified to be paid for certain things. So those are areas where certainly the executive branch is trying very hard to make this powerful unitary executive argument. And I think choosing this case to be the first one to go up there was strategic on their part in the hopes of getting a win. But I'm not ready to say that in all these other areas, the Supreme Court is going to say it's okay.
Yeah, I will know that Judge Tanya Chutkan, has even thrown a little bit of cold water on some of the state cases about the federal agencies being meddled with. So, and this was one of the judges in Donald Trump's criminal cases. To go back to you, because he's doing a lot of work there, Ruth. Because the he that's doing a lot of the work here is Elon Musk, somebody who is saying that 60 Minutes producers should be in prison. They should be jailed because Donald Trump didn't like the 60 Minutes interview. This is the person who's wielding through his young staffers access to our personal data. Donald Trump has unleashed his biggest donor to do this work. And the people that are being fired, including this gentleman, he was the guy who was looking out for whistleblowers. They're getting rid of the parts of the government that end corruption, or that at least try to stop corruption. It feels like there's a theme.
Yeah, well, this is part of a shift in governance culture to accommodate corruption. And that was a feature of Trump 1.0, but it's on steroids now. And in fact, we know from good reporting, because we still have a free press, that many of the agencies that Musk and co have gone after were having investigations into Musk's companies. And there's just a whole lot of self-dealing. And this is consistent with authoritarianism, because authoritarianism is about taking away the rights of the many and giving the very few unheard of liberties through deregulation, through dropping any kind of ethical constraints or things that would cause them to be regulated or have conflicts of interest. The idea of a conflict of interest is a quaint democratic idea. The idea of professional ethics, of an objective civil service, all of that has to go if you are an authoritarian in the mold of Trump and Musk at the moment.
Right, and there's a sort of mob vibe to it too, Rev, right? I mean, even what they're doing with Mayor Eric Adams is saying, yeah, we're going to get rid of these charges for now. But if you don't behave, you're going to be prosecuted again. And, this sort of mob thing of you need people to be dirty in order to work with you, because they're going to do what you say, right? Because you kind of own them.
No doubt about it. When you look at the fact that if this president or the Justice Department really felt that Mayor Adams was being wronged for political reasons, and why didn't he pardon him? I'm not saying he should have pardoned him. I'm saying, according to their logic, why didn't they stand up and do for him what they did to January 6 people who were filmed beating people that were law enforcement? The only reason I could think that they wouldn't is they wanted to put a leash on him so they can yank the chain when they want to and hold not only Mayor Adams, but the city of New York citizens, hold them in hostage. And clearly, when you look at the interview that Holman did on Fox and Friends the other morning, where he sat and talked to him like he was a child, which is humiliating to many of the people that voted for him, you get a clear picture of what we're dealing with.
You could almost see the chain he's pulling. Mary McCord, thank you so much. Ruth and Reverend Al are going to stick with us for much more on the chaotic first month of Trump's second administration. We'll be right back.